Hello and welcome to Digital Transformation for Humans with your host, Amy. In this podcast, we delve into how technology intersects with leadership, innovation, and most importantly, the human spirit. Each episode features visionary leaders who understand that at the heart of success is the human touch, nurturing a winning mindset, fostering emotional intelligence, and building resilient teams. Today, we'll explore transforming leadership, the role of empathy, emotional intelligence, and soft skills with Amit Prabhu. Let's start the conversation and transform not just our technologies, but our ways of thinking and leading. Welcome to the studio, Amit. It's super great to see you here today, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. Just to
Thank you so
present
much, Amy.
yourself, thank you. To present yourself, I would like to tell a few words about your experience. And I want to mention that Amit has over a decade of corporate experience in business management, strategy, and consulting. He holds a master's degree in telecommunications and networking from the University of Pennsylvania. Besides being a book author, he is also a business trainer, speaker, entrepreneur, and swimming coach. The two words which describe him at their best are explorer and teacher. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you.
Please tell a little bit more about your experience and your latest book, because today we are going to look into your next coming book, which is on leadership. And I know how good it is because I've been reviewing that book and I really enjoyed it. I see how it's going to lift up and support so many leaders working with digital and IT. Please tell a few words about this next coming book.
Yeah. So I would like to start with my first book, The Digital Strategy Framework. So it is a book where in which I provide an end-to-end framework right from strategy creation till the execution. So if the businesses can adopt this framework, that can help them streamline their transformation projects and help them achieve cost efficiencies. Now, this interesting thing about my book is that the whole inception of this book happened around 7 years back. So, since 7 years, I am carrying this thought of writing this book. So, the writing was happening here in my mind. It was only until last year that I actually started writing physically and things started falling in place. But over a period of 7 years, I have been observing the reactions of these businesses to these different digital transformation technologies that were coming up. And my observation was that not only my employer was struggling, but there were many other businesses that were also going through the same pains. And the story was same. They had the same challenges about the digital transformation. So I began interviewing. First, I began asking around in my network with my close friends and colleagues. Even they had a similar challenge. Then I did some professional interviews and asked a few people what is their feedback. And I discovered that this is an industry wide challenge, not just a challenge with one company. So that's why I decided that this book should come out because there is not a comprehensive end to end strategy framework that you find in the market. As I've said before, the information is available in bits and pieces, but there is no framework which is comprehensive and which is curated in one place. That curated information is not there. So, through my framework, through my book, I have made an attempt to give the best information to the readers. So that actually inspired me to write this book because of this big gap. that these industries, these businesses were facing. And strategy is one of the challenge, but the bigger challenge is the leadership challenge, and which is what I'm going to address in my next book. So that is coming soon. It is called Digital Leadership Framework. It can be a very good companion book to my first one. So it is coming soon, most likely after the summer, somewhere in July, August. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. And it's also is going to be published physically in a traditional way in New York, and
Yes.
then people will be able to find it on Amazon exactly like the first book.
It's the
So
same publisher, Business Expert Press, who is located in New York. They are going to publish it, and it will be published via Amazon. So it will be available to all the readers across the globe.
amazing. But now let's take a look at the softer factors behind that hard success stories you were reflecting in your work, in your books, and in everything you're doing. What do you think about the importance of mindset, emotional intelligence, soft skills, and empathy in the perspective of digital transformation and business growth?
It is such an important skill set to have, especially in this digital age. Now, two most important skills that you have just described are a mindset or growth mindset, based on the research by the Stanford professor Carol Dweck. A growth mindset is so important because it sets within you the right mindset to learn. Because when these new technologies come up, they like put a requirement on all the employees to learn, to upskill, to reskill. And most of these people, they are a bit reluctant when it comes to learning. First of all, why they are reluctant? Because they feel that learning will make their lives uncomfortable. They will put them, learning will put them in a zone of discomfort, and they really don't want to uh, start something new which will make their life a bit uncomfortable. And also, why learning is very difficult to embrace for most of the people, because they don't have this growth mindset. They have something known as a fixed mindset, which hinders their process. So, fixed mindset makes an individual think that skills are born, whereas with a growth mindset, you believe that the skills can be built, can be developed. The people with fixed mindset think that if I have a certain skill and if I'm good at something, I will be always like that and I should be always like that. Whereas those with growth mindset, they believe that if I have this skill, well and good, but I can also learn this another skill. I can reskill and I can develop this skill. So that is what a growth mindset tells you to do. And it is so important in this age of digital transformation where new technologies are coming up. So we need growth mindset. It is a very important, I would say, the most important success factor for reskilling. You can only reskill or try an area which is completely out of your zone only when you have this growth mindset. Second important quality which you just talked about, Emmy, is the empathy. It is so important, especially in this digital age. And I believe all the leaders should be the champions, should be the advocates of this empathy. You know why it is important? Because the whole dynamics of leadership has changed. In the digital age, a digital leadership is expected from the leaders. But the problem is that the leaders still continue doing their business, their operations, their interactions with a pre digital mindset. I can give an example. What is the difference between pre digital mindset and the digital leadership, or digital leadership versus the pre digital leadership? In the pre digital era, leaders held power, and leaders were supposed to be the experts of everything. They were supposed to be the experts of the business. But in the digital age, the leader should have power, at the same time they should empower.
So
and
true.
and the leaders should not only be the knower of everything, but they should also be seekers of knowledge. So they should share, at the same time they should seek. They should hold power, at the same time they should empower. That is what digital leadership is all about. So to empower someone, okay, to empower your employees, first of all, you need to have trust. You need to build trust in a person. And to build that trust, you need to know that person better. And without empathy, how can you know that person better? So empathy is so important. And what is empathy? Means you try to understand what that person thinks, what that person feels, and what that person desires or wants to do. If you are able to get these three things out, you are very empathetic towards that person. And that builds trust and that enables empowerment, which is such an important tool for digital leadership.
I totally agree with you. Given that I'm working with those topics and I see how undervalued it is among leaders, and specifically how difficult it is to find budget to invest into that type of training in today's world, it is just a reminder to everybody who is with us here today. It is important to develop those soft skills in order to get those hard results you are fighting for, you are working for, and you are seeing in front of you. Because without personal development, without development of yourself as an individual, it will be really difficult to become a better leader, to understand others better, and foster trust, better collaboration processes, and come to your desired goals. Of course. And speaking about goals, now, what are your predictions about the coming trends in the area of artificial intelligence, digital transformation overall, and other technologies which are booming today? What is that part leaders have to consider, to start thinking about, and to get ready to embrace?
Yes, Amy, yeah, very good question. And since we are living in the era of Gen AI, we are surrounded by the Gen AI hype. I'm pretty sure your viewers might be interested in knowing what I think or what are my predictions about Gen AI. So, will it scale? What if it doesn't scale, right? That is a big question mark everyone faces. Because for an employee, the this question is a very big question. Will it scale? An employee would think that, does it really make sense for me to spend a lot of efforts in reskilling or learning about Gen AI? What if it doesn't scale? A business would think that, does it really make sense for us to invest a lot of money, lot of efforts into developing competence, the Gen AI competence? What if it doesn't scale? An investor also might have this question: should I really invest in the AI companies or Gen AI companies or buy stocks of these companies? What if this technology doesn't scale? So, right now we are living in a hype, and from a hype, it is really difficult to predict whether a technology will succeed or not, because no one can guarantee, right? No one can assure what is going to happen in the future. So there are two outcomes: either Gen AI becomes successful, we cross over the hype and we begin with the scaled adoption, and the businesses really transform themselves with the help of these technologies, or this Gen AI would fail completely. And this, everyone, it will go in the dark, in the background, and no one will talk about it anymore. So these are two things that can either happen. But if you ask me, how do we make predictions? we can make predictions, somewhat predictions, with the help of theory of deductions. So, to make a prediction about Gen AI, I would like to talk about two technologies. First is cloud, and second is 3D TV. Both of them were at their biggest hype when these technologies were almost introduced or launched into the market. Cloud was introduced somewhere in 2008 2009 when players like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they began expanding their cloud offerings, and that's when the hype of this cloud began. And somewhere around that time, maybe in the year 2010, there was a huge hype of 3D TV. Now let's start comparing these hypes, okay? So there are three factors that can help you determine, that you observe, especially during the hype phase, that will help you determine whether a technology will succeed or it will fail. The three factors are: first factor is the business case, second is the emergence of ecosystems, and the third one is the user acceptance. Now, cloud had a very good business case. The businesses were able to see a value in cloud. At the same time, they were able to make some rough estimations and make some calculations and have a business case. They were able to predict, or they were able to estimate, that if we invest so much, this will be our returns in so many years. So they were able to make a good business case. There was a very good emergence of ecosystem when the cloud hype began. There were these hyperscalers like AWS, Google, Amazon. There were these independent vendors. We call them ISVs, independent software vendors, that came up. There were a lot of these open source communities that also emerged. There were a lot of startups that came up when the cloud was launched. So, cloud had a very good ecosystem. And as far as user acceptance is concerned, initially it was difficult for people to accept cloud because there were some challenges, some issues with security, with data integrity, and so on. But gradually, as this technology progressed through its hype cycle and the subsequent years, people began gradually accepting this cloud. And now see, cloud is has scaled so successfully, right? It has been able to create so many jobs in our economy. So cloud is a good example. It's an example of a success story of a technology which was initially in its hype and now it has become successful. Let's take a look at the second technology, 3D TV. People, the businesses were, or the consumer, they were not been able to see a value in 3D TV because the consumers were really not able to understand what extra value or what extra benefits they will get in watching a 3D TV versus the traditional TV. They were not able to clearly see the benefits. Hmm? And also, there was not a good business case for 3D TV. Why there was no good business case? Because first of all, the price of 3D TV was very high as compared to the traditional TV. And also, to watch a 3D TV, the users used to needed these glasses, the 3D glasses. And not everyone liked the idea, or not everyone was comfortable wearing those glasses and watching the TV program. So this created some kind of awkwardness among the people. And also, because of that, the user acceptance was not there. The second factor, acceptance, was not that high as compared to cloud when we talk about this 3D TV. And also, there was no emergence of ecosystem for 3D TV, because for 3D TV technology to really take off, what the market needed was a supply of 3D content, but not a lot of 3D content was supplied. And because of lack of good business case, lack of user acceptance, and lack of emergence of ecosystem, 3D TV failed. Now let's talk about Gen AI. Everyone, all the businesses, all the individual users, they see a great amount of value in Gen AI. because everyone is able to achieve super productivity gains. So they see a strong benefit. But the challenge with Gen AI is that still businesses are unable to figure out a good business case for Gen AI. Why? Because there are lots of factors that need to be first understood to calculate a business case. For example, data is a very important factor that one needs to consider to make a business case of Gen AI. But the problem with these businesses is that they don't know what data is important, where is their data located, and how to access the data. They have no idea. So it's very difficult to estimate for the businesses the efforts required in acquiring, in cleaning, in preparing the data for Gen AI. Because of these challenges, it's very hard to estimate a business case of Gen AI. So if you compare cloud versus Gen AI, with this factor of business case, cloud ranks higher than Gen AI. Why? Because people were able to perceive benefits with cloud and they were able to do a business case with cloud. But with Gen AI, there is a perceived benefit, but there is no clear business case yet. Okay, so cloud has an edge. Let's move to the next factor, the emergence of ecosystems. As far as Gen AI is concerned, during its hype phase, there has been a tremendous emergence of ecosystems like no other technology has seen. In comparison to cloud, the ecosystem, I would say, is 3 to 4 times larger. So many LLMs have come. You name them. I mean, just check out the list, okay? So many LLMs have come, like emerged over last 2 to 3 years. And also so many ecosystem players have come. There are data providers, that there are LLM fine tuners, there are the output evaluators, there are system integrators, there are Gen AI app developers. There are also some players who can do prompt engineering services, who can also provide hardware, or who can also provide some data centers, right? There is a huge emergence of ecosystem. So you rank Gen AI higher than cloud when it comes to emergence of ecosystems. Let's move to the third factor, the user acceptance. The user acceptance of Gen AI has been enormous, right? Everyone has adopted Gen AI. In fact, when ChatGPT was released, that was the fastest growing app that the consumer market had seen in the history. So the user acceptance is way high of Gen AI compared to the cloud. So if you make a comparison, right, between these three technologies, 3D TV has failed with all the three factors. Gen AI has beaten cloud in two factors: emergence of ecosystems and the user acceptance, right? And cloud is now a successful technology. It has scaled well and it has moved beyond its hype. So doing by doing this comparative analysis, or by using a theory of deduction, one can estimate that Gen AI is going to scale. And to put a number, the probability range is somewhere around 55 to 65%. I There is a 55 to 65% of a chance that Gen AI technology is going to take off and it is going to scale by this theory of deduction. Okay, so we can make a very rough estimation going by this theory. Again, I want to put a disclaimer here. This is not an investment advice. Okay, I'm not encouraging all the investors that they should invest. I'm not an expert. I'm just giving you a theory of deduction. So with this theory and with this comparative analysis, one can conclude that yes, Gen AI is going to scale. Okay.
That's really interesting. And I love your analysis, in depth comparison, and the sum up of all the potential outcomes. But what I'm also interested about is how this human part, because technologies are basically developed by humans and for humans. So, how will emotional intelligence and empathy and all those soft skills enable the development of these latest technologies and trends in the area of digital?
Yes. So this empathy part will come into play when you talk about the ethics surrounding this AI or Gen AI, the ethical part. So that's where this empathy soft skill will come into play. Because every business sees what they are currently developing is a responsible AI framework. And to develop a responsible AI framework, it is so important to get the to put people into the center. And without this empathy soft skill, you cannot actually understand the different stakeholders involved, the different kind of people involved, and you cannot really have a framework based on this ethical grounds. So empathy is a very important skill when it comes to the development of Gen AI, especially the RAI framework, the responsible AI framework.
I so agree with you. Do you think that emotional intelligence is supporting leaders in reaching their success besides their high level of IQ? Because some leaders are still believing that if they have their experience, if they have their knowledge, and they have been through so many stories and cases, they are totally ready for tomorrow. But what I see de facto is that something is missing in many stories, and that's exactly the emotional intelligence and human centricity. Can you share your vision around it?
Yes, absolutely. It is a very important trait that a leader should have. And in fact, empathy is a subset of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a broader umbrella, and empathy is a part of that. So, yes, it will play, in fact, a very important role for leaders to make decisions and to make informed decisions. Let's call it informed decisions. So, informed decisions means you take into account various factors, you take into account facts, you take into account the stakeholders involved, and also you take into account your previous experience. So, to summarize, it is leadership with head, heart, and guts.
I love that. That sounds like the go to model for the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah. So, emotional intelligence will cover up for the heart part. Yes, it will make the heart really strong.
That sounds really promising. And what is one piece of advice you would like to give to the leaders today besides this core go to model?
Absolutely. So, again, we are living in the era of generative AI. So, I would like to give the leaders the advice in context of Gen AI. I strongly believe that how this technology is going to phase out in future will be dependent on what kind of decisions the leaders of today make, because leaders have a very high responsibility. How much of this technology will be ethical, will do good for the humanity, and how much of this technology can do harm for the humanity, all this decision lies in the hands of the leaders, the people at the top, because they have lots of weight in the organization and they are powerful. And whatever decisions they make is going to impact the life of millions in the future. So now there are three options in front of the leaders. They have to choose between profits and ethics when it comes to AI. So if the leaders choose profits over ethics, it is going to do harm to most of the people, because then they will make decisions that just matter to their personal gains or the personal gains of their stakeholders. They will miss out the complete ethical picture and take into account the society of large when they choose profits over ethics. Second option is that choosing ethics over profits. If they choose too much of ethics and really don't focus on the profits, then the business is not going to show healthy financial results. Correct? And that is not your job as a leader. As a leader, you should ensure that the financial health of the business also stays well, or in fact, your business grows and you make profits for your shareholders. That is your priority as a leader. So, the leaders, my advice to the leaders is that you should go for the third option, where you be a conscious leader and you balance out profits and ethics. You make balanced decisions when it comes to profits and ethics. Make sure your decision is way not tilted towards profits, which is driven by your personal gains. At the same time, it is not very much tilted toward ethics so that you completely lose control over your profits. You should try to maintain the balance. It's not easy, and that is going to be a big challenge for the leaders.
Wise words. I so agree with that third option, that it is all about balance. As with
Balance.
everything else in life, it is about balance. And once you reach that balance, you are going to see growth and success. Thank you so much, Amit, for being here today. It was such a pleasure to talk to you and share your insights and experience with everybody who has been with us.
Thank you so much, Emmy, for having me on your show.
Thank you for joining us on Digital Transformation for Humans. I'm Amy, and it was enriching to share this time with you. Remember, the core of any transformation lies in our human nature, how we think, feel, and how we connect with others. It's about enhancing our emotional intelligence, embracing a winning mindset, and leading with empathy and insight. Subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes where we uncover the latest trends in digital business and explore the human side of technology and leadership. Until next time, keep nurturing your mind, fostering your connections, and leading with heart.